going?
Right now, for 2 seconds now.
What? All right. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. We are now going to make our parachutes for our glorious water rockets. This is everything that we need. We need a plastic bag. You need some duct tape, screwdrivers, hole punch, scissors, tennis ball string, vice grip, and you need some tape, and you need a clamp. So, this is what we're going to be doing. What you're going to do is you're going to make a parachute for 2 groups with this process. The first thing you want to do is take your bag, lay it out flat, and you're going to cut off the end that has the seam embroidered. So you want to cut this end off. So now that we can open up our plastic bag in a way that we can lay it out flat, just like this. So we are going to be making 2 parachutes that are octagon shaped. So our first step in doing this is to take one corner of the plastic bag once you have it laid out flat, and you're going to lay it over to the other side. And what we're doing here is we're going to make a perfect square plastic bag. And we want to kind of make sure we crease it and get it laying out flat like we have here. It may take a little bit, that's all right. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is the most important piece of your rocket. So once you've laid it out flat like that, you want to cut off the side that is not folded on. Once we have cut off this piece of the bag, if we've laid out flat, we now have a square, which is what we want. Perfect. Now, from here, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't really matter. What we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half twice. So we are going to take the plastic bag, fold it away from us, crease it. Then we want to rotate the plastic bag. And that would have been 90 degrees for those of you. And we're going to fold it in half again away from us. And again, we want to work our best to get it laying out flat. Then from here, we are going to now make a triangle. So you can take one corner and lay it to the opposite corner. And we should have our 90-degree isosceles right triangle, for those of you. Then from here, we are going to fold. So you want to have the fold towards you, and you're going to pull the end that's opposite you across. This way, sorry. This way, yeah, I got it. And what we want to make sure is that on this edge right here, you have all of your open sides. Because once you get to that, we get to cut one more time. And in doing so, we should be able to now open up our plastic bag in a way that you have now a perfect octagon, and you're going to make 2 more cuts. You're going to cut this side. And what we're doing right here is we are now separating the 2. And we're going to cut this, slice this side open like right here. And ladies and gentlemen, we now have 2 glorious parachutes that will keep your rocket floating forever. I'm going to hand this off now, and we're going to finish the process, and Mr. Everett is going to take over and show us.
Go.
All right, so welcome. We are going to go ahead and tie the strings to our parachute the correct way this time. So if you take a look at the needed materials here, of course you need a pre-cut parachute, which Mr. Miner did an excellent job of doing. We also need a hole punch. We will need some sort of measuring device, preferably like any. Then you will also need some sort of screwdriver. You will need a piece of Teflon tape. You'll need a 130-gram tennis ball, some duct tape, vice grips, string, and a hose clamp. So what you're going to do, your first task is to go around and make sure that you tape every single corner of the parachute. So you'll see I've got a few done already. I've got one here, I've got one here, and I've got one here. So to show you how I want you to rip your duct tape, because you do not need very much of this, I'm going to take my piece, rip it in half, and then this little half, I'm going to rip in half yet again. Okay, so I end up with two pieces of kind of square, small pieces of duct tape. With that piece of duct tape, I'm going to find one of my corners, I'm going to tape it over on one side, and then I would fold that underneath and tape it to the underside. So what that does is it creates a little bit of reinforcement for where the string's going to go. Okay, so once you have that done all the way around your parachute, you're going to punch holes. So you see I've already got a hole punched in this one here. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Okay, there we go. So now my next step is to take my piece of string. You will have about 10 feet of string unless we give you 12. If you have 10, we're going to give you an additional 3 feet so that you can account for how much string you actually need. Okay, so the idea is that you would take 1 foot of this string, and that's going to be used for the nose cone to water rocket attachment. The other sections are going to be cut into 3 feet, and that's what we're going to use for our different sections of our parachute. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and measure out with my meter stick, ruler, whatever you're deciding to use, 3 feet of string, which is 36 inches, in case you're not sure. Okay, so here's 20 and 36. Once I am there, I make my cut, and now I've got 3 feet of string. So with this 3 feet of string, I'm going to be attaching my string to my parachute in 4 different sections. So you'll see I've got 2 pieces of tape with holes cut. They are adjacent to each other. That means I'm going to tie one side of my string here and the other side here. When I get my next 3-foot section, I would attach this one here to this corner here. And then from this corner to this corner. And then from this corner up here to this corner over here. Okay? So I'm going to take this string, like I said, attach it to one of these spots. I'm only going to do one tie because I'm not doing the whole thing. So, a tie on one side and a tie on the other side. Alright, so then once you work your way around and you've done all of the different spots, you would collect all these little loops, and that's going to create one point where your parachute will all come together. Okay? So if I were to do that, that's where my hole punch in my rocket would come in handy. I would put all those loops through and tie my parachute on, and then your parachute is good to go. Now, you might be wondering, what do I do with all these other materials that you were needing? You can take this 130-gram tennis ball, throw it away. You can take this and just put it back where you got it. The hose clamp and Teflon tape, however, these are extremely important if you are doing plumbing. Vice grip, awesome for any scenario. So we're just having to be prepared. Duct tape fixes most things along with WD-40. Thank you for paying attention to this video, and I hope you've learned a couple things about parachute tying as well as pointless tools.